What is up, beautiful people? It is officially Sunday and the market has actually opened already. So let's begin this weekly analysis. I honestly lost track of time. I've been cracked off caffeine and it's 3 p.m. I've only eaten one avocado toast this morning. So I gotta lock in after this. Here's the weekly analysis that made me $15,000 last month, and just this last week I made over $4,000 trading using this simple weekly analysis. The first thing that you do in every single week before you begin hopping into your charts is hitting the two boxes right here on TradingView, popping this object tree open, going right below your indicators, and spamming that remove button. Because you do not want to be blindsided by the things you saw last week that you may be missing, right? You might have missed something that you didn't see last week, first of all. And second of all, there's going to be new inefficiencies that form, and you don't want to be distracted by the old ones that you were already looking at. So first things first, let's move this guy over here and look at the time frames above. So obviously we're going to start off from the highest time frame possible, just to find out what's going on. So obviously this 3 months is supposed to be pretty bullish because that's the seasonal tendency, that these 3 months from, what are 3 months from May? April, May? March, April, and May. March, April, and May are the 3 bullish months before a potential bearish month, right? During summer, people are on vacations, they invest in their money. So obviously we're expecting this to expand a little bit more before it closes, right? Closer to the wick at least on the 3 month time frame. As we scale down to the monthly, we can see, okay, what do we have? This immediately rebalanced previously. I did. So it rebalanced, there's no fair value gap right here, but there may be a fair value gap right here. So as long as this month continues to expand, then it would give June a opportunity to actually run back down, right? May, June, yeah. June's next month, which is projected to be a potential seasonally bearish month. Like, that's what happens over the last 20 years of data on gold, is that June tends to be a bearish month. So if it wants to, especially because March, April, and May are respecting the monthly seasonal tendency to be bullish, if this runs up and closes, we'll have a bearish or a bullish fair value gap that we could potentially run down to in June before July expands again. Okay, so just starting off with a little sauce on the monthly time frame. So obviously it would have to go up and not actually, because this doesn't exist yet. So it would have to actually close for that to be created. So it probably wants to leave it if it wants to create an opportunity for June to run down. Now on the weekly time frame, and I'm already surprised by this open. That is a huge bearish open. Like, that ran down from 325 to 300 pips of sell side in the 20 minutes that it's been open. Holy guacamole. That is kind of crazy. But yeah, starting off, you scale down to the weekly time frame. What's on the weekly time frame? What were we looking at last week? We have this one below that we missed. Maybe that's where it's drawing to right now. But we also ended up closing above this weekly fair value gap, which we disrespected last week. So there was a possibility of sell side last week, but we ended up running up and closing extremely bullish. So honestly, I was also expecting early into this week, we have a bearish fair value gap right here that we can target right there. So I don't care that it's honestly running down right now. Once Monday closes or Asia session starts up inside of like the next day, I'm going to be looking for this bearish fair value gap above. And the fact that it ran down gives me a lot of opportunity to buy with a huge position. Now I'm going to be open-minded, right? I'm not going to get in off of a buy without confirmation. I'm going to wait for my session. I'm going to wait for my model to form with an IFVG right before I go long. Because I'm going to be open-minded to the fact that it can potentially run down to happen to this weekly fair value gap. Make people think, oh, gold's going to start running down. We also missed the complete bottom. So maybe it's just trying to fill out the rest of this daily fair value gap before heading back up. And I'll be looking for that in Asia session if we do get that move up. So the weekly is already kind of analyzed. We know that there's a weekly fair value gap below, but we don't technically have to go there, right? We don't have to run down because we're expecting this month to be bullish. So it can continue expanding up towards buy side, especially because this day right here respected the bullish IFVG that we were looking at on like Friday for a trade. From Thursday Asia session into Friday. So we were looking for a trade there, and that was our bias towards running up towards like a 4-hour IFVG. And we completely ran through this. So like I was telling you guys last time, that it tends to be a draw on liquidity for market just to create an IFVG. Like, it doesn't even have to like use it after. And that's why our goal as traders is to, if we know that it's likely going to invert this 4-hour fair value gap, we aim for it to become an IFVG. But by the time it becomes an IFVG, we should already be done trading. Like, that's my style. Like, if there's a daily fair value gap above, I'm not going to go wait and then try to take a trade off of it, especially if it wants to flip it and keep going higher. Your objective should be to get into a trade as the market begins to run up towards it. So my kind of narrative going into the week, find out everything that's nearby, figure out now based off of how it's moving, whether we're going to run down to this weekly or are we going to fill the rest of this daily and try to pull back up just to make sure that this daily candle also respects this, maybe even this 4-hour respecting this one. It's definitely a possibility because it's been not even 30 minutes from the open and we ran down 300 pips. So that same move, that same volatility can happen right now towards the buy side. We're trading gold. This is definitely a possibility. But yeah, I'm open-minded for the weekly fair value gap below. Also going to keep an eye on this one. So we obviously disrespected it, right? But now that we close back above it, it does become a bullish Reaper fair value gap. So that's still a confluence that can be used by the market if the market wants to avoid going down to the weekly fair value gap below. Which it can definitely be another target. But I'm thinking June is going to run down there. I'm thinking June. So I'm not going to be looking for that. If it does happen, like if I start seeing Asia session create my like a bearish daily expansion, like this candle has no wick. So if it does want to go down and it gives me an opportunity to do that, sure, I'll be open-minded to it. But yeah, this is the weekly analysis that has gotten me 15K last month. Every week opens up and I find out what's below, what's above. I scale down to the daily time frame after the weekly. I find out what's above, what's below. Below is this right here, which is already at the target below. It has just yet to fill it. Once it fills this up, I'll be watching how it reacts. If it fills this up completely to the tick and starts reversing, scale down to the lower time frame. Find the fair value gaps inside of this leg right here. It's going to take a little bit longer because it's not even an Asia session. So in 3 minutes, we get our first 30-minute candle that closes. Then I'll wait for another one and another one. And by Asia session, we should have a good amount of 30-minute fair value gaps to work with. It's Sunday and the market just opened, but look at the volatility, right? So there is opportunity still. And while we do encourage you guys to focus on like weeks where there's news and you want to stick to those weeks. So this week is another thing, right? We're going to be looking at the news and we're thinking about, okay, because this week is packed with news, what kind of trades can we take, right? When do we want to scalp? When do we want to swing trade? When do we want to stay out of the market? I'd say this week is a pretty good week to trade basically all these days with red folder news. There aren't any like super late 2 p.m. news, so we're honestly doing pretty well this week. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities. You guys got to lock in and master Chris's silver bullet model because silver bullet is so optimal during days with news at 8:30 a.m. Then there's also quarterly theory. That's a great tool for you to use when there's news at 8:30 during New York session. But yeah, that's basically it. I don't scale down to the 4-hour until I get confirmation for some trade. And then I figure out what happened inside of this bearish leg that can potentially be used as confirmation for me to go long. But yeah, so I'm open to the fact that it runs down to the weekly time frame. I'm also open to the fact that it runs up to this daily fair value gap, inverts it, and starts running towards all-time highs. If it starts running towards all-time highs, that's obviously something we think about later. But we have a high right here, and above this high on the 4-hour time frame, I just remember aiming for this when we first started running up right here. So there does exist a fair value gap right here. So if I extend this out to the right, you can see that we barely missed it right here. So that's definitely going to be a draw on liquidity. If we flip this daily fair value gap, that's the next target that I'm aiming for, and that would be basically 1,000 pips from like 3,360 to 3,440. So just under it's like 800 pips. It's a huge move. So once we flip that daily fair value gap, I'm definitely going to be looking for that. And if we stop here and start melting down, maybe we'll melt back down into this daily IFVG, or after that, the only next target is this all-time highs, and once that happens, I'm sure we'll be expanding like crazy. And I'm equipped now. I got the live account. I can layer in positions. I think once we start running again during this month, start expanding extreme buy side, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys prepare yourselves so you can also take advantage of this run. Don't blow your funded accounts. There's going to be plenty of great buying opportunities. Don't blow them trying to catch the move that's running down towards the weekly fair value gap. Be safe, use confirmation, and I'll catch you guys later this week. Peace out.